Are you truly aware of how much you're being watched? How often do you feel someone's eyes on you, even when no one is around? Maybe you've caught yourself checking over your shoulder, wondering if your words are being listened to, your actions analyzed. It's a strange, unsettling feeling, like a shadow lurking just beyond your perception, always watching, always analyzing. And here's the truth. You're not imagining it. In fact, you're more exposed than you think. Every move, every word, every reaction, someone, somewhere, is scrutinizing it all. It's as if we're living in a world where openness isn't vulnerability but a trap, because the more you share, the more you give away. And the worst part? Most of us don't even realize we're being manipulated, that we're part of a game played by unseen forces with their own hidden agendas. Maybe you've felt that creeping suspicion, those moments when you're about to speak and suddenly your mind is flooded with doubt. Do I really want to say this? Will this be used against me? It's a primal fear, a fear of losing control, of being exposed. But what if I told you that this isn't just paranoia? What if it's a warning from the past, from a man who understood the art of power better than anyone? Niccolo Machiavelli. He knew the dangers of transparency. He warned that being too open, too vulnerable, is a weakness, a vulnerability exploited by those who seek to control. In a world where everyone is reading you, where your every move is observed and analyzed, the question isn't whether you're being watched. It's whether you realize how much power you've already lost by opening yourself up too freely. And here's the thing. This video will reveal how to see through the masks, how to protect yourself in a world obsessed with transparency. The secrets that Machiavelli understood centuries ago are more relevant than ever. The tools to shield your mind and your life are within your grasp. If this message resonates with you, that feeling of being watched, of losing control, then I invite you to subscribe now. Because here, we dive into what others are afraid to face, what most will never tell you about power, control, and survival in a world that's always watching. If this has made you think, if it's stirred something deep inside, then stay tuned. The truth is closer than you think, and the answers you seek are just ahead. You go through your day with a lingering sense of vulnerability, always wondering if someone is listening, always questioning whether your words and actions are being used against you. That gnawing fear that your openness, your honesty, might be your undoing. It's like walking a tightrope where every misstep could be exposed, used to manipulate or control you. Inside, you feel a storm of conflicting emotions. There's a deep desire to be authentic, to let others see who you truly are. But at the same time, a primal instinct screams at you to hide, to guard your thoughts, because revealing too much feels like handing over your power. You tell yourself that being open is a weakness, that vulnerability invites manipulation. Yet you also crave genuine connection, the kind that only honesty can bring. This push and pull creates an endless internal battle. Should I trust or should I guard? Should I reveal my truth or should I hide behind a mask? It's an exhausting cycle that leaves you drained, questioning whether any of your efforts to be real are worth it. And so, you find yourself caught in this emotional vicious circle. You open up, only to regret it later, feeling exposed and vulnerable. Then, you tighten your defenses, but that only deepens your loneliness and alienation. Every attempt to find safety feels like just another step into a maze with no exit. You're tired of feeling like you're always on guard, like your every word is being scrutinized, like your own mind is a battlefield. The more you try to control this invisible surveillance, the more it controls you. It's a relentless cycle of fear, doubt, and frustration that chips away at your confidence, your happiness, your sense of self. And no matter how much you tell yourself to be strong, that internal voice whispers that soon all your efforts will be futile, that your privacy, your autonomy is slipping away, piece by piece. Deep down, you know this isn't just about privacy. It's about your very sense of security, your identity, and your ability to breathe freely without constantly looking over your shoulder. But even admitting that feels dangerous. Because the more you acknowledge your pain, the more it feels like giving your enemies the ammunition they need. And so, You sit there, trapped in this emotional limbo, feeling the weight of your own vulnerability crushing you, knowing that the true enemy isn't just outside, you are your own worst threat, constantly fighting to keep your soul intact while the world watches and waits for you to break. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing that hits you is the weight on your chest. It's not just the fatigue from sleep, it's the persistent feeling that someone, or something, is always watching you, even in the quietest moments. As you go through your day, you find yourself avoiding certain topics in conversations, afraid that your words might reveal too much vulnerability, too much exposure. You catch yourself clenching your jaw when someone asks about your feelings, feeling the urge to hide, to pretend everything is fine. But inside, a storm brews, an unspoken anxiety that whispers, "They're listening," even when no one is around. You check your phone repeatedly, scanning for notifications, messages, or any sign that someone is monitoring your every move. The habit becomes compulsive, an attempt to regain control over the invisible surveillance that haunts your mind. You hide your true thoughts behind a mask of politeness, of superficial smiles, because revealing your authentic feelings feels dangerous. Every time you open social media, you feel the tight grip of paranoia creeping in, questioning who might be watching, judging, or manipulating what you share. Privacy feels like a distant memory, a fragile illusion shattered by the constant fear of exposure. In meetings, you find yourself hesitating before speaking, second-guessing every word. You wonder if what you say will be twisted, used against you, or seen as a weakness. You keep your opinions to yourself, even when they ache to be voiced, because the risk of judgment is too great. The more you try to protect yourself, the more you feel trapped in a cage built from your own fears. Small actions, like typing an email, sharing a joke, or opening up about a personal struggle, become acts of bravery, fraught with the potential for vulnerability. You often replay conversations in your mind, obsessively analyzing whether you revealed too much or said the wrong thing. At home, the silence is deafening. You sit alone, yet you feel surrounded by unseen eyes, scrutinizing your every move. The walls seem to whisper warnings. Be careful, they're watching. You can't trust anyone. You withdraw further, hiding parts of yourself even from those closest to you. When someone tries to get close, your instinct is to pull back, to shield yourself from the possibility of judgment or betrayal. Trust becomes a fragile concept, slipping through your fingers with each passing day. The loneliness deepens, not because you want to be alone, but because it feels safer to stay in the shadows than risk being truly seen. You notice these patterns in your behavior, avoiding eye contact, speaking cautiously, hesitating before sharing your thoughts. You catch yourself questioning your every move, feeling the constant pressure of concealment. It's as if an invisible force is squeezing your chest, tightening with every little act of openness. The sense of suffocation grows, and you realize that this internal prison is just as confining as any external one. Every attempt to breathe freely feels futile. Every effort to be authentic is met with fear and doubt. It's a cycle that drains your energy, erodes your confidence, and amplifies your sense of vulnerability. And so, you keep living this way, hiding, questioning, fearing. Every day becomes a test of your resilience against the invisible forces that threaten to strip you of your identity. The emotional claustrophobia is relentless, squeezing tighter with each passing moment until it becomes your only reality. You feel the weight of this silent suffering bearing down on you, whispering that perhaps this is all you'll ever be, perpetually exposed, yet forever hiding. And deep inside, you wonder if there's any way out of this suffocating maze, or if you're destined to remain trapped in this endless cycle of fear and concealment. It's as if a silent observer is lurking in every corner, scrutinizing your every thought, your every emotion, your very existence. This isn't just paranoia. It's a reflection of a deeper philosophical reality, one that questions the very nature of your autonomy and privacy. This concept is rooted in what Machiavelli warned centuries ago, the unsettling idea that power operates in the shadows, often unseen but deeply felt. And in your case, that shadow manifests as an internal surveillance system, an unrelenting voice that implies you are not truly free. It's as if your mind has become a battleground where your authentic self is constantly monitored, judged, and controlled. The psychological term for this is internalized surveillance, a state where external pressures and internal fears fuse into a self-policing mechanism. Imagine living with the persistent feeling that someone or something is always watching, even if no one is present. That sensation creates a barrier, an invisible wall, between you and your true thoughts, your genuine feelings. Every time you consider opening up, sharing your fears or vulnerabilities, a voice whispers, "Be careful," or "They're listening." This isn't just about privacy, it's about control. The more you hide, the more you feel trapped in a prison of your own making. Ask yourself, how much of yourself do you truly reveal? Are your thoughts and feelings genuine, or are they filtered through a lens of fear and caution? Do you sense that your internal dialogue is under constant scrutiny, as if someone is dissecting your words before you even speak them? This relentless self-censorship feeds into a cycle of doubt and isolation. It's a psychological prison where trust in yourself erodes, replaced by a suspicion that even your mind isn't your own. This concept pulls at the core of your emotional pain because it makes authenticity feel impossible. When you're always under watch, your natural instincts to express, to be vulnerable, are suppressed. Instead of feeling free to be yourself, you live in a state of guarded silence, wary of what might be exposed or manipulated. Every attempt at honesty feels risky, like walking a tightrope over an abyss of judgment and control. Reflect now. What parts of yourself have you hidden away out of fear of this invisible observer? How often do you second-guess your own thoughts, your feelings, your desires? What would it take to break free from this internal surveillance and reclaim your sense of autonomy? This isn't just about feeling watched. It's about understanding the invisible forces shaping your emotional landscape. It's about recognizing the power that fear and distrust hold over your life and questioning whether the walls around your heart are truly necessary or if they're just illusions created by this unseen observer. As we move forward, you'll begin to explore these questions more deeply, uncovering the roots of this internal monitoring and discovering how to challenge its hold. Because beneath all the fear, there's a possibility, one that can free you from this silent prison and help you reclaim your authentic self. It's as if an invisible voice is always whispering, "Are you being enough? Are you revealing too much? Will they see who you really are?" This isn't just paranoia or insecurity. It's a conditioned response, a survival mechanism that has become part of your subconscious. It's the echo of a past where vulnerability meant danger, where trust was unsafe, and where showing your true self could lead to rejection or pain. Over time, this pattern has ingrained itself into your daily life, shaping your actions and reactions in ways you may not even fully understand. Imagine yourself in a simple conversation. Perhaps you're talking with a colleague, nodding along, but inside, a voice is questioning your words. Should I be more reserved? Am I revealing too much about myself? So, instead of expressing your genuine thoughts, you hold back, carefully editing your responses. It's not because you lack confidence, it's because a part of you believes that revealing your true self could be dangerous. This self-censorship becomes automatic, a reflex born from years of conditioning. You learn to hide parts of yourself to avoid judgment, to protect what little sense of safety you have left. Or consider your social media habits. Maybe you carefully curate your posts, sharing only what you think will be accepted, what won't invite criticism. Perhaps you hesitate before posting a heartfelt opinion, worrying about how others might interpret it. This constant monitoring and editing stem from that same internalized vigilance. You're not trying to deceive others. You're trying to shield yourself from the perceived threat of exposure. It's as if your mind has built a fortress around your true self, and every small act of vulnerability feels like an invasion. Even in moments of solitude, this pattern persists. You might find yourself ruminating over past conversations, replaying every word, questioning whether you said the right thing or revealed too much. This obsessive self-scrutiny is not a sign of weakness, but a reflection of an old, unconscious pattern that has been reinforced over years. It's a survival tactic that no longer serves you but continues to dictate your behavior and feelings. You're caught in a cycle where you're constantly guarding yourself, living in a quiet fear of judgment, even when no one is watching. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. It's not about blaming yourself or feeling weak. It's about understanding that you're operating under an old blueprint that no longer fits your current reality. You're not inherently fragile. You're conditioned, and that conditioning can be challenged. Your true strength lies in the awareness that these reactions are learned, that they can be unlearned. You are not powerless. You are simply stuck in an old pattern of survival that's ready to be reprogrammed. And as you begin to see this, a new possibility emerges. One where you can start to dismantle the invisible walls built by fear and conditioning and step into a space where authenticity and trust can flourish. The journey toward true freedom begins with this awareness. Now let's move forward and explore how you can start to break free from this silent prison. It's as if your inner voice has become a relentless critic, whispering doubts and fears that keep you locked in a cage of self-censorship. That's the weight of internal hypervigilance, a psychological trap that convinces you that sharing your true self is dangerous, that vulnerability equals weakness, and that trust must be guarded at all costs. Over time, this persistent feeling of being watched, of hiding who you really are, chips away at your sense of authenticity, leaving you disconnected from your own voice and from genuine connection with others. Now ask yourself, what have you sacrificed in this constant state of alertness? Have you lost parts of yourself simply because you believed that revealing too much could expose you to judgment or rejection? The truth is, this relentless self-monitoring isn't just a habit. It's a deeply ingrained survival mechanism, an adaptation born from past wounds, from experiences where vulnerability was met with pain or betrayal. But what if I told you that this so-called protection is actually a prison? That every time you silence your voice to avoid perceived danger, you are building walls that keep your true self hidden, distant even from your own consciousness. And in doing so, you deny yourself the freedom to be fully authentic, to connect genuinely with others, and to experience life with openness and trust. This internal vigilance often feels like a burden that we carry silently, yet its roots are deeply psychological. It's a response conditioned by fear of judgment, rejection, or vulnerability. It's a narrative that has been woven into your subconscious, convincing you that caution equals safety. But what if this narrative is flawed? What if deep down, you know that living in constant suspicion of yourself and others isn't safety at all? What if the real danger lies in living a life where your true self remains locked away, unseen, unheard? The discomfort you feel isn't weakness. It's a signal, a call to question the programming that has shaped your perception of safety and trust. And here lies the profound truth. You are not meant to live under the watchful eye of a shadow that isn't real. You are meant to break free from this invisible prison. But that requires facing the uncomfortable truth, that your own mind has become a battleground, a place where fear and self-doubt wage war against your authenticity and well-being. The question now is, how much longer will you allow this silent judge to dictate your life? How long will you continue hiding behind walls of self-protection, denying yourself the chance to truly be seen and understood? Reflect on that. Share your thoughts. Because the act of recognizing this inner prisoner is the first step toward liberation. Your voice matters more than you realize. The true power lies in daring to be vulnerable, in daring to trust again. So, I invite you to open up in the comments. Let's start a conversation about the fears that hold us back and the courage it takes to break free. Because you're not alone in this, and your story could be the key to someone else's liberation. You respond politely, but inside, there's a voice whispering, "Are they judging you? Are they noticing your hesitation?" Suddenly, every word feels scrutinized, every gesture exaggerated. You find yourself second-guessing your tone, your smile, even your choice of words. You're trying to connect, but the inner voice, shaped by years of self-censorship and fear, is already warning you that vulnerability might lead to rejection. As you sit at the table with friends, the conversation flows, yet you hold back your true thoughts, afraid that revealing too much might make you appear weak or uninteresting. You laugh along, but it's a mask that hides your real feelings, an internal barrier reinforced by the persistent fear of judgment. When someone mentions a personal struggle, you quickly change the subject, convinced that sharing your struggles will expose your insecurities and make you vulnerable to criticism. Deep down, you wish you could be authentic, but the internal surveillance, like an uninvited judge, keeps you guarded. Each small interaction becomes a delicate balancing act where revealing too much feels dangerous and hiding feels safe but painfully isolating. These seemingly minor moments accumulate, creating a cycle of emotional emptiness. You start to notice that you're more comfortable hiding behind silence or superficial responses than risking genuine connection. The constant vigilance drains your energy, making social interactions feel like exhausting performances rather than authentic exchanges. You long for real connection, for someone to see you beyond the mask, but the fear of being judged keeps you locked inside your own invisible prison. You wonder why it's so hard to just be yourself, why every time you try to lower your guard, the internal voice pushes you back into silence. The pain of this internal conflict grows heavier with every encounter, leaving you feeling more disconnected, more unseen, and more desperately longing for genuine acceptance. Every word you say seems to be scrutinized, every gesture second-guessed by that relentless inner voice whispering, "Are you enough? Are you showing too much? Are they reading you?" In moments like these, the fear of exposing your true self becomes overwhelming. Instead of opening your heart, you hide behind a mask of politeness or detachment, believing that any vulnerability might be used against you. You tell yourself it's safer this way. But in reality, you are slowly disconnecting from the very person you want to be close to. This pattern of emotional self-neglect isn't just happening in fleeting moments. It infiltrates your entire relationship. You suppress your feelings, hide your needs, and avoid expressing your genuine thoughts because the risk of judgment feels too high. Perhaps you've noticed how you often nod in agreement even when your inner voice screams for authenticity, or how you dismiss your own desires to keep the peace. Maybe you suppress laughter, tears, or excitement because you're afraid of appearing too vulnerable. Over time, this emotional tightrope becomes exhausting. You start to feel invisible, as if your true self is trapped behind a glass wall, desperately wanting to be seen but terrified of rejection. This constant self-censorship creates a cycle of emotional neglect, not only towards others, but also towards yourself. You give little bits of your authentic self, waiting for the right moment that never comes, while your partner or loved ones sense that something is missing. They feel the distance, the guardedness, but don't understand why. You might even convince yourself that it's better this way, that being cautious keeps you safe from pain. But deep down, you know that this silence, this hiding, is what keeps you lonely. It's a silent betrayal of your own needs and feelings, an ongoing choice to stay small rather than risk being truly seen. And here lies the truth. The more you suppress your authentic self out of fear, the more disconnected you become. Not just from others, but from yourself. You're living a life of quiet self-neglect, settling for superficial interactions while your real feelings remain locked away. The pain of this emotional deprivation is more profound than any fear of judgment. But what if, just for a moment, you dared to be honest? What if you allowed yourself to be vulnerable without retreating in fear? That's where real connection begins. That's where healing starts. Ask yourself, are you willing to stay trapped behind this invisible wall, or will you find the courage to step through it? Because staying silent is a choice, and that choice is costing you everything you crave: authentic love, genuine connection, and the freedom to be truly yourself. These are not random. They are your body's urgent cry for help, signals that your emotional boundaries are crumbling under the weight of constant vigilance and self-censorship. When you live in a state of hypervigilance, constantly scrutinizing your words, fearing judgment, and suppressing authentic feelings, your body absorbs that stress. It manifests as physical tension, chronic fatigue, digestive issues, or even unexplained aches and pains. These symptoms are the physical footprints of an emotional battleground you have been unwilling or unable to confront. Your emotional life and physical health are deeply intertwined, yet many of us tend to treat symptoms instead of the root cause. For example, feeling anxious before social interactions might lead to stomach discomfort or heart palpitations. Over time, suppressed anger or sadness can turn into migraines or muscle tension. The body is begging for emotional boundaries, those invisible lines that protect your well-being. When you set clear limits, when you allow yourself to feel and express what's true, your body starts to relax. Conversely, ignoring these signals only intensifies the cycle of stress and illness, forcing your body into a state of chronic alarm. Think about the times you felt overwhelmed but dismissed it as mere tiredness or stress. Perhaps you shrugged off the tightness in your shoulders after a difficult conversation, or you convinced yourself that the constant fatigue was just a busy schedule. But these are signs that your emotional landscape is in distress, that your internal boundaries are being eroded. Your body is already trying to tell you that enough is enough, that it needs protection, respect, and space to process what you're experiencing. When you ignore these signs, you risk worsening your mental health, spiraling into anxiety or depression, and compromising your physical resilience. It's urgent to recognize that your body is not separate from your mind. The physical symptoms are not just in your head. They are the evidence of unmet emotional needs. Your body is pleading for you to establish boundaries, to stop silencing yourself, and to honor your true feelings. Every ache, every fatigue, every tension is a call to action. If you continue to dismiss these signals, you are silently silencing your own life, risking your health and happiness. Now is the moment to listen, because your body is already begging for the boundaries you've been too afraid to set. Don't wait until it's too late. Your health depends on it. You say yes to things you don't want to do, just to keep the peace, just to avoid conflict. Each yes feels like a small sacrifice, but over time, those sacrifices multiply, weighing down your shoulders like an unbearable burden. The more you give in, the more others expect from you. It's as if your boundaries are dissolving into thin air, replaced by an endless stream of demands that drain your energy, your patience, and your sense of self. Imagine your emotional reserves as a bucket with a tiny hole at the bottom. Every time you stretch yourself for others, listening to their problems, sacrificing your needs, suppressing your true feelings, the water level drops a little more. At first, you might not notice the slow leak, but month after month it becomes painfully obvious. You feel exhausted, like a candle burning at both ends, flickering in the wind, barely holding on. Small irritations become huge mountains. You find yourself snapping at loved ones over trivial things, feeling guilty but unable to stop. Your mind races, obsessing over what you could have said or done differently, yet still feeling trapped in this cycle of giving and exhaustion. This pattern feeds itself, creating a vicious circle. The more you surrender your boundaries to meet everyone's expectations, the more others push, demanding even more. It's as if they sense your fatigue. They see your quiet suffering and interpret it as weakness to be exploited. Your emotional space shrinks, your patience wears thin, and you begin to feel like a shell of yourself, disconnected, hollow, worn out. Over time, this relentless cycle drags you into a fog of frustration and helplessness. You wake up feeling drained, carry that weight through the day, and go to bed feeling just as empty, only more resigned. The cycle intensifies month after month, a slow erosion of your vitality, your joy, your sense of identity. And so you ask yourself, how much longer can this go on before there's nothing left of you? Before the constant giving turns into complete emotional bankruptcy? Your support not only helps this message reach more hearts that need to hear it, but also affirms that you're not alone in this journey. Together, we can break free from the shadows of doubt, from the endless cycle of self-judgment and emotional exhaustion. You deserve to be seen, to be heard, and to reclaim your inner peace. Remember, every like, every share is a step toward awakening your strength and inspiring others to do the same. So, don't hesitate. Your action might be the spark someone else needs to start their transformation. Now take a moment to reflect on what we've explored. You've felt the weight of constant self-judgment, the fear of being exposed, and the toll of living on high alert, walking on fragile ice every day. You've experienced the pain of sacrificing your true self just to keep the peace, only to find yourself drained, disconnected, and questioning your worth. These aren't just fleeting feelings, they are signals from your body and soul, calling out for acknowledgement and change. The cycle of emotional repetition keeps you trapped in a storm of exhaustion, irritability, and despair. But here's the truth. This pattern is not your destiny. You have the power to break free, to rewrite your story, to choose authenticity over masks. Your pain is a sign of your resilience, a testament to your desire for a better life. It's time to listen to your inner voice, to honor your limits, and to nurture your well-being. Because when you do, you step into a space of genuine freedom, where self-love and peace become your new normal. You are more than your struggles. You are here to rise, to transform pain into power, and to rediscover the strength that has always been within you. This is your moment. Embrace it. Every moment you choose to believe in yourself, to see beyond the shadows of doubt and fear, is a step toward a brighter, freer future. Remember, change is not just a distant dream. It is a real, tangible possibility that lives within your reach. No matter how deep the cycle of self-judgment or emotional vigilance may seem, you possess the power to break free from it. You are not your past mistakes, your anxieties, or your limitations. These are just chapters in your story, not the whole narrative. The true essence of who you are is resilient, capable, and deserving of love and peace. Every small action you take toward understanding and caring for yourself adds up. Each moment of reflection, each act of kindness toward your own soul, rewires the patterns that have kept you stuck. You can choose to step into the light of authenticity, to embrace your vulnerabilities as sources of strength. Remember, transformation is a journey, not a destination. It's about showing up for yourself every day, no matter how difficult it may seem. The road may have its bumps, but with perseverance and hope, you will find your way. You are stronger than any voice that tells you otherwise. Your story is still being written, and you hold the pen. This is your moment to reclaim your power, to live with intention and authenticity. You are worthy of peace, joy, and genuine connection. The future is waiting for you to step into it fully, to shed the masks and fears that have held you back. Believe in your ability to change, because it's already happening. With each conscious breath, each brave decision, you are not alone. Your journey toward freedom and self-love starts now. And remember, the most beautiful stories are those of resilience and hope. Keep moving forward, because your best chapter is yet to come. Remember, what you've just reflected on is a powerful reminder. You hold the key to your own transformation. The cycle of doubt, fear, and hypervigilance may have felt overwhelming, but it is not your final destination. You have the strength to choose differently, to reclaim your peace, your authenticity, and your inner power. Every moment offers a new opportunity to step into a more conscious, loving version of yourself. You are capable of breaking free from the shadows of self-judgment and external control. Believe in that possibility, because your change begins now, with the decision to take control of your emotional landscape. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next step in your journey. The next video is more than just a continuation. It's an emotional invitation to deepen your self-awareness, to embrace vulnerability, and to cultivate the courage necessary for true transformation. Watch it on the screen right now, because it's the next step in the path you've started today. Remember, your story is still being written, and every small act of self-love and awareness adds a new chapter of hope and authenticity. Trust in your ability to choose hope over fear, growth over stagnation, and love over self-doubt. The power is in your hands. Make that choice today and step into a future where you are truly free.